Welcome to GoChuChats, your monthly podcast all about Korean entertainment, where we talk about the latest news, dramas, and comebacks in the industry.
This show is brought to you by Cherry Tune magazine. Be sure to check out our website when the episode ends. Hi Gotcha Gang! Today we are here with songwriter Jess Pierpoint. Jess, could you introduce yourself and say hello?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Jess. I'm 26. I'm from Liverpool in the UK, but I now live in Seoul, and I'm a full-time K-pop songwriter.
Brilliant. And just jumping straight into the questions, because I'm sure everyone will want to know more about what you do and how you got into your job. So just to start with, how did you get into singing and songwriting, and when did you sort of realise that could become like a proper career for you?
Sure. So I've been writing songs for about 10, 11 years, I would say, because I think I really started to take it more seriously when I was about 15, 16. So I went to college to do an artist development program, like right after high school. And then from there, I was just like, slowly having experience of like actually writing with like instruments and things, working with like producers. At that time, I was doing my own artist project. So that was kind of like my main sort of like goal, if you will, because I wanted to just make music and like have a chance to like perform and things like that. But honestly, I've never really been like good at anything else. I know that's like such a cliche answer that everybody says, but genuinely, like, I am not academically inclined at all. Like, I don't think I would be very good at anything else, and this is just always honestly like from the heart. It truly has just like been such a passion and love of mine. So yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to pursue it. So then I went on to do a 4-year degree at uni. I went to the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, which is owned by Paul McCartney. So that was really fun. That was like a huge dream of mine as well, because I always wanted to attend there. And I think during like lockdown, because we kind of had to have our last year and a half of uni just on Zoom, it's just a time that everybody can think about, I guess. But it was a lot of like self-reflection. And I think during that time, like everything in music just completely came to like a standstill. So we kind of had no choice but to like look at other ways of like, making music and like having fun with it. So I think I just realized at that moment in time, like, actually, I don't want to make music for myself anymore. Like, I actually really like the fact that I can still enjoy everything about making music, but just be like behind the scenes. And yeah, so that's when I really was concentrating on just writing for other people in that time. So yeah.
You've worked with many companies like Sony Music and Universal. How have these experiences shaped your songwriting process?
So I think from like a young age, when I was just happy to work with just anybody, and I was just like willing to work with anybody who was willing to offer me a chance to have that experience. I've learned a lot from even just like those, smaller type of like opportunities, if you will. But for me, every opportunity is like a great one. So yeah, I think just being able to realize the journey and like how much I've improved as a writer in an environment where there's only like top level like professional people there, I think it's just really like rewarding, and it just makes me realize like how far I've actually come. So I think I've just learned a lot from like the people that I've worked with along the way, who've like had opportunities that I hadn't had yet. And obviously like the studios there are like next level. It's like real recording booths, and like there's a lot of like Western artists who, when they're traveling here, they like use those exact same like rooms. So it's kind of like a bit of a like pinch me moment, if you will. And like I haven't traveled over to like LA yet for like any writing or anything, but I feel like this is probably the closest that I've like ever came to being in like the real world, if you will, of like the music industry overseas. So yeah.
And recently you wrote Bad Boy for Hanbin of Zero Base One, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners are probably like screaming about. For his studio tune performance. It was like the first time an original song had been used for one of those performances. And how were you sort of able to basically create your own vision whilst also being in line with what Hanbin wanted to show in his performance?
So for me, I was already familiar with, like the music of like ZB1 as a whole. Like I did already work with them on that album previously. So I kind of knew the direction I had to take in terms of like my own creativity. But, when I think about Hanbin as an artist and like I think about, how he is as like a performer, as an artist, like overall with like his own music and individual sounds, I think I just really wanted to hone into all of like the stronger elements of like what he's able to like already do and what he's amazing at. So, thankfully, like they really trusted me with like, just kind of taking the reins in terms of like the top line. The track, I guess, was just like already there, and like, they kind of already had something in mind of what they wanted in terms of like a concept. So I just naturally kind of was able to throw something on top of that complemented it really well. I'm sure anyone that listens to it will probably recognize a lot of influence of Taemin, and I know that Hanbin's like a huge Taemin fan like myself, so and I find it very easy writing music that I like, that like I already listened to. So for me, it was more or less just trying to completely have all of my attention on like something that would be great to perform and be super theatrical and as I say, just make him shine, I guess, because he hadn't really rapped any other time prior to that, so like I know that was like a bit of a struggle at first, but I think he honestly nailed it, and like his own like vision in terms of like choreography and how that worked really well with like what we did with the actual track, I just thought was just like amazing, and everything just like fit like a puzzle piece, if you will. Yeah, so he absolutely killed it. I'm like so proud of that project.
You've been able to work on songs for some of your favourite artists, including ITZY. How did it feel to get the opportunity to work with such a huge group and write sneakers for them?
Oh my god, so every time I talk about sneakers, it kind of feels like a fever dream, because I was like relatively new into like the world of K-pop during that time in terms of like writing. Like I was already a fan, but I never expected that like the first song that I would have like released in Korea would be with ITZY and would be like a title track. So it was a lot of pressure as well, because like I knew from like a fan's perspective, if they were going to be reading like the credits, they'd be like, oh, who's this girl? She's never had a single credit in her life, like what's she doing? So I was kind of really nervous about that aspect of it, but in the end, I think the like response it had honestly really did help me a lot in terms of like my own writing, like moving ahead, and then also just like it allowed me to be so much more like excited for what else was to eventually come. And I mean, ITZY are amazing, and I'd written so many tracks that I thought would be like perfect for them, but I really think that Sneakers was what kind of brought them into like their own unique little vibe in that sort of like cutesy concept. And I know like I still get a lot of people messaging me like how they really miss that vibe that they were doing and things like that, so I would love to see them like enter in that sort of zone again, even if they like mature and end up like changing some of the sound a little bit more. I think that's an aspect of ITZY's like discography that's kind of like nostalgic for like a lot of like the fans, and it reminds them of like the older type of like K-pop sound, if you will. But yeah, it was just a crazy experience. ITZY are just amazing, and I'm just like so happy that I was able to be like just a small part of their journey. So yeah.
And yeah, you've mentioned there you've worked with Zero Base One, ITZY, but what has been your favorite song that you've worked on and why?
Oh, honestly, I would say most recently, besides the Artist of the Month, probably Hurricane or Bad Villain. I loved that track when I heard it initially, because I know that they just released, it was kind of like a pre-debut performance video, if you will, and I actually seen it because of Taemin, because he uploaded it on his Instagram, and I was like, wow, like this is such a crazy track, like I've never heard anything like this. And I don't know, I was just kind of like obsessed with it. And then I remember like I was reaching out to a lot of like producers and asking to have them send me tracks in that sort of vibe, but then I later on ended up having the opportunity to help write the rest of the song, which is just crazy. So that was kind of like a huge moment for me, but it was so cool to even just have like a small like, you know, chance to help like write the rest of it. And I just think out of all of the songs I've got, because, you know, if you listen to all of my releases, like there's not really any two that are completely the same. Like I have like so many mixed genres in there. Like I have a rock song with like, you know, Extraordinary Heroes and things like that. So it kind of really shows off my like vast like music taste, I guess. But the hip hop vibe is just like something that I'm really trying to like hone into a lot like nowadays. So yeah, I would say that's probably one of my favorite ones that I've worked on so far.
So far, what struggles have you faced when songwriting? Do you think it's difficult to fulfill your own expectations for a track whilst also meeting the expectations of the company?
I think when it comes to writing for K-pop, you know, a lot of it is kind of about rules and having to stick to the same kind of like routine every time, in terms of like, you know, having to lay out the structure of the song a particular way. And then also you have to think about things like, you know, the members' range and like, you know, the vocals and how you're able to write something within like their own range, but you also kind of want to make it more like exciting and like have, you know, all of the specific like rhythms and tones. So it's a lot more to think about, you know, it's a lot more complex in terms of things like that. And, you know, writing like a regular Western type of song, you don't really have to think about it as much. But honestly, I kind of love the fact that it challenges me a lot, because it means that I'm, you know, improving, and like if it helps me to come out of my comfort zone and achieve something else that like I wouldn't have like, you know, initially tried, then I'm all open to that, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think the hardest part is probably just trying to meet their own expectations, but then also not limiting the track to like one specific group, because, you know, a lot of the times if you get like a lead, you'll be writing for like a specific group, but then it might not end up working for them, but it might actually work for like a lot of other groups. So you don't really want to have that track be like limited to just one specific like group, you know what I mean? And you want to be able to have like more opportunities later. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the hardest thing.
And I think something that many people will probably want to know is like, how do you sort of get into this like line of work, or like how do you sort of get into working in the K-pop industry in general, whether that's like songwriting or something else?
So I feel like for me, I was just very lucky. Like, if I'm being honest, I feel like everything just kind of fell into my lap quite easily. And I know it's not always as simple as that for like a lot of other people, but for me, I was just at the right place at the right time, I think. And, you know, I met the right people who could help me along the way. So I actually met my first publisher at university. So I think that's probably number one, is like, you know, having yourself in the environments where you can meet other people and you're able to network, because you never know who you might end up like meeting at some like events where you could, you know, have the chance to like speak to someone who might know someone who then knows someone else. And, you know, that's how these conversations like kind of, you know, all start, I guess. So yeah, I think number one is to just like network as much as you can. And also, like, you don't know who you will end up meeting along the way either. Like, I can't even tell you how many people from uni I've ended up like bumping into here, like later on. It's super, super crazy. Like, the world is absolutely minuscule. But yeah, I think as well, if you're serious about writing and this is something that you really want to, you know, hone into, then I think you really have to realize that a lot of it is trial and error, and you're going to write like 100 crappy songs before you write one like amazing one. Like, trust me, you guys don't want to hear my earlier demos. And I thought I had it nailed, you know what I mean? Like, as a K-pop fan, like, you think you know how to write a K-pop song, and you really don't. Like, you really do have to try out so many different things and make a lot of like mistakes, but, you know, a lot of it is just about learning and then growing from that. I also think that if you work with people who are along the same level as you, it's really helpful, because you grow with each other and you can help each other out. And, you know, like, maybe someone's able to make tracks but not write melodies, but you can write melodies but not make tracks. So you guys can like, you know, make a team, work on leads with each other. And, you know, also I think it is important to reach out to someone who's I'd say like a level up than you are. So if they're like already actively getting like releases out, even if it's like in China, then it's, you know, somewhere in like, I think all of us have had releases out in China before we had releases out in Korea. So, you know, if you can work with someone who's actively like already having releases out, then you're going to learn a lot from them as well. And then, you know, that's how you also like level up and achieve so much more. And yeah, just reach out. Like, I honestly, I wouldn't get anywhere if I wasn't a cheeky cow. Like, I'm kind of like, I just message people a lot. And like, I think very early on, I was quite like stubborn and I was kind of like, no, like, I can do this. You want to work with me? Like, of course you do. I mean, like, I wasn't like, you know, over in my head in a sense of like, you know, I was reaching out to someone that would not work with me at all. But, you know, I was very much like, even if no one else assumed that I was able to, I just knew what I was capable of. So, you know, I just use that as like a way of being like, oh, you know, well, I have knowledge because I'm like a fan. You guys will want to work with me because I know everything from like a fan's view as well. So like I know what sounds really good. And, you know, there's a lot of writers out there who really value that, because a lot of writers ended up in this industry as an accident, if you will. Like a lot of them just ended up having like a track on like a Hypen album, and then now all of a sudden they're like here and they're writing songs, and you know, it's great. But a lot of them I know would really value that knowledge and that experience from like, you know, other people who are actively listening to all of the songs. So that's also really helpful. And yeah, you just have to be like super passionate, super friendly. The industry is very small, so you just never know. And yeah, if you don't ask, you know, you're not actually going to get, do you know what I mean? You just do have to be like super cheeky, but not like over the top, you know. You just got to know like when is the limit. But yeah.
So you recently met Taemin, whom you name as one of your biggest inspirations. Could there be a possible collaboration in the future?
Literally, as you say this, like looking at my lock screen right now.
We love to see it.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy because that was literally like a week ago, like as we speak. Yeah, I 100% am manifesting a collaboration with Taemin. It's been something that I've wanted to achieve like since like day one. Yeah, he's like the only artist who I've really ever wanted to have a song with. I keep like making a lot of jokes like, oh, once I've written for Taemin, I can retire. It's fine. Like, like anything else that comes after that will be just like, you know, a bonus. But for me, I think not just as like a writer, but you know, as like a fan, I really know his music like so well, and I feel like as a fan, I know what he would be amazing at, like concept wise as well. So, you know, I would just love the chance to work with him and write something that I think would be just like amazing for him. I've already written a few that I'm hoping to pitch to him, but yeah, we're like manifesting my name on his next album. So, yeah, let's do it.
So sorry, this isn't like a question that we sent to you, but I was just thinking, like you mentioned writing sort of like with certain artists in mind, like writing multiple songs that you thought like, oh, this would be great for ITZY.
Yeah.
I mean, like as a writer, I often struggle with like writer's block and stuff, like trying to find inspiration for things. Does sort of like writing with a certain group in mind sort of help with your inspiration? How do you sort of find inspiration for new songs, new tracks, things like that?
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, as someone who has ADHD, like I need to be like really stimulated during like a session. So if the track isn't really helping me like with inspo and like helping me like think of melodies right away, then I can get pretty lost, to be honest. Like even if I have like another writer with me who can help me, I just always like to have something that's like already there, because if I've already got something that's helping me with melodies, then it really helps me with like concepts, titles, hooks, you know, just a lot of things like that. And yeah, you know, like I don't always like to work on leads a lot because, you know, a lot of the times it's like a pretty tight deadline, and I don't like to feel under pressure and like have to work on something like really quick, because I just think you can't rush like perfection at the end of the day. And, you know, nothing will ever be perfect, but I would rather know that I've got like extra time to make it like, you know, 100%. Like, and yeah, so I tend to just have like a little bit of an open mind when I know that we're writing for someone specific, because, you know, if you look at the likes of ITZY, you know, in comparison to maybe like From Is Nine or like, you know, any of those other groups, like a lot of ITZY's older concepts would work for groups like that. And, you know, you can't, as I say, limit yourself to just one. So I think if you know the type of energy and, you know, even just like the age range and things like that, and you look at like the older releases of the groups, it really helps a lot in terms of like the direction that you want to be able to take a new track in. You know, it's kind of hard to make something that's never ever been, you know, done ever before, but there's just a lot of ways that you can utilize, you know, what's already out there to help you a lot. And, you know, obviously I love working with other people anyway, because where you might lack in areas in terms of like, you might have a great hook, but then you can't write any verses because your head's just like, no, but then someone might have like a great, you know, verse idea. So that also really helps.
Yeah, that was our questions, but now we have, hopefully this works. I'm leaving this up to Hermione because I feel like I will fail. But it's like we've got a little game, but yeah, you have to sort of guess which song it is from the emojis. I'm praying this works, and I'm leaving it up to Hermione, to be honest.
Are you ready for the first?
Yes, let's go.
For our audio listeners, it is a deer and then a moon.
Oh, Deer Eclipse, Zero Base One. Super easy.
Oh, Christ, we need to make them harder.
Yeah. Here is the second one.
Log in, 50-50.
Yeah.
We didn't even do with that one. We were like, we need to up the ante.
Okay, number 3, incoming.
Okay. Oh. Oh, Summer Days?
Yeah.
Yes.
We should have made this harder. Oh my goodness.
Also, the emojis, like when they come up, because I've got it on an iPhone right now, but when they come up like in the chat, they just look so silly.
Okay, here is the fourth one.
Bad boy.
Bad boy. These are so funny. I love them. Okay, number 5. Here we go.
Could it be Bad Chemical?
Ding, ding, ding.
You really should have made these harder.
I know.
Like, you're slightly too good at this.
We should have thrown in like a rogue one, which was just completely, like crazy. Okay, and the last one is here.
Hurricane?
Correct.
But the final section is basically the theme for this episode is our favorite K-pop edits. Because obviously K-pop edits are huge. Everyone loves watching them. I certainly love watching them, scrolling on TikTok for hours. So we wanted to know, like, are you sort of a fan of K-pop edits? If yes, do you have like any favorite ones that you thought this is like so cool, or like I just love it?
Do we does it have to be like a meme, or can it be anything?
It can be anything, I think. I think we're going down the just pick anything route.
Yeah.
Okay, I do have a Taemin one that my friend sent me. Just let me find it real quick so I can show you guys, because it's pretty great actually.
That is so me. I literally, like, when preparing for the podcast episode, I had to scroll like all the way through like my TikTok likes.
Yeah.
Like to just find one. I'm like, I know which one I mean. I know which one I want.
I said that we like are gonna have 5 edits each, but I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
So it was so hard. I literally had to like, to be honest, I didn't think I had that many saved to start with. But then when I was looking through, I was like, 5? This is going to be difficult.
Yeah. I think I mean, I know for a fact that when I'm like doom scrolling and, you know, like I see a lot, I'm like, oh my god, look at this, and then like just forget about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I've got, is it this one? Actually, okay, I have two, but it kind of makes me look like a perv, so.
No.
Okay.
We love it.
We love it.
Okay, I mean, and I can send you guys so that you know like which ones they are.
Yes, please. That would be helpful. Of course.
Oh. Wait, that is a good one.
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Let me see. There's this one too, which is pretty cool.
Oh, I love it. That's just the vibe changes.
Yeah, it's like you've got a really cool one and then just like a total
The switch up.
After meeting Taemin, it's like, how do you sort of stay chill? Like meeting Taemin.
Let me tell you, I had this whole thing planned. Like I had this whole script I was gonna say in Korean. Like, you know, I've planned this day in my head for like years, and then it finally happened, and like homeboy looked at me like dead in the eyes, and I was just like I didn't even tell him my name. I didn't tell him I was a songwriter. My friend had to come over and be like, 작곡가, and he was like, and I was like, I was just like, say. And then the worst part was like I gave him like a bag full of some like presents because he's a real big fan of Juso Hejon, the anime Jujutsu Kaisen, and like as am I. So I went to the exhibit and like I wanted to buy him like, you know, some of the merch from the exhibit. So I put it in the bag, wrote him a cute little letter, and like I also put my press it album inside the bag with a Sharpie because I was going to take it out. You know, I had the intention of taking it out and getting him to sign it. I gave him the bag with the album inside.
No.
I give this man his own album, and I'm like, all of my friends were just like taking the mick out of me like the whole night, and I'm like crying, like, and I didn't realize till I was in the taxi back to Gangnam, and I just went, like, I just shot up out of my seat, and they were like, what? And I was like, I've give this man his own album. And I was like really upset about it because, you know, they don't make the press albums anymore, like they don't print them, and like I found it in like a real low-key like K-pop shop in like Myeongdong, and it was like so cheap. It was like 20,000 won, and I was like, oh my god, like this is such a, you know, like a gem find, and I gave it to him by mistake.
See,
so
now you've got to get into the studio with Tim and be like, I want my album back.
give it back.
You didn't even have to sign it, but I just want that bag. Like, you know, you got something of mine, so I think you should maybe give me it back.
Have any of your songs ever been used in an edit?
Oh, I think maybe there was a really funny one when Sneakers in fact, a lot of really funny ones came out when Sneakers came out. There's one of a chicken wearing sneakers running away. I'll see if I can find it. Hold on. I have to scroll like really far up, but like it was definitely a time to be alive because like I'd never had the experience of like somebody using one of my songs as an edit before. And yeah, I was really like enjoying Twitter during that time because people were just uploading things like every day. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, ones like that. And then like I've seen a crazy few about like this cat that's like singing it. Let me see. I've got the cat somewhere. I'm gonna find it. Hold on. Actually, this one was really funny. It's not really an edit, but
JYP, my DMs are open. I would love to be an anime.
It's giving the 7 days a week meme.
It is.
It really is.
Oh, I'm trying to find the cat because it's absolutely brilliant. Wait, let me see. I'm like so determined to find this freaking cat. Wait. Yeah, wait, hold on. I found the cat. Oh my god. It's brilliant.
Hermione would send me at like midnight.
Yeah, like 3 a.m.
Like honestly, Twitter was like the craziest place for like both negative and positive reasons, but I feel like I really like those edits were like helping me get through all of like the craziness. So yeah, and it was just like it was one of those you had to be there times, because it was just like every time I was scrolling I'd see something new and I'd be like, oh my god, what's this? Thank you so much, girls. I'm hoping that you won't have to like edit it too much, but obviously like you'll probably have to edit a lot, because my I'm like blah, 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 all the time.
It's fine.
No, I think the content was really good, to be honest.
Yeah.